Welcome back to Galaxy Recaps. Today we'll be diving into an action thriller movie titled Sleepless. Enjoy the recap. The movie opens with a high-octane car chase through the bustling streets of Las Vegas. Masked men in hot pursuit of another car force their target to crash into a pole. As two men leap out, shotguns drawn, they demand their target to open the trunk. Suddenly, another vehicle arrives, escalating the situation into a fierce shootout between the two groups. One of the men, named Vincent, emerges as the central figure in the chaos. With police sirens wailing in the distance, both groups make a break for it, with Vincent and his partner speeding off into the night. The masked man reveals himself as Sean, and as they check their haul in the trunk, they find 25 kilos of cocaine worth around $8 million. Later, Vincent heads home where he receives a call reminding him to take his son to a game. Here, we learn a twist. Vincent is actually a police officer, and his home features a conspiracy wall covered with names and connections that hint at a larger investigation. The next day, Internal Affairs Agent Bryant exits her office, chatting with her partner Ruby about a recent incident. Bryant had accidentally walked into a meth lab and was beaten, fueling her suspicion that a dirty cop might have been involved. Meanwhile, Vincent arrives at the precinct where the captain briefs everyone on the previous night's shootout. Vincent insists he and Sean will handle the case, telling his partner privately, "Whoever controls the case controls the evidence." At the crime scene, Vincent and Bryant cross paths. She immediately grows suspicious when he lies about his involvement. As Bryant confides in her partner Dennison about her doubts, Vincent heads to the hospital. He's confronted by his ex-wife, who's irritated at his tardiness. Despite the tension, he takes their son Thomas to his game. On the way, Thomas finds a loaded pistol in the glove compartment and accidentally fires it. Suddenly, armed men appear, kidnapping Thomas and stabbing Vincent. Wounded and helpless, Vincent receives a call from Rubino, a criminal kingpin demanding the return of his 25 kilos of cocaine. Rubino warns that if Vincent fails to deliver within 3 hours, Thomas's life will be at stake. Fueled by desperation, Vincent grabs his gun and races to find his son. Meanwhile, Bryant continues to dig into Vincent's background, uncovering what she can without official clearance. Back on the run, Vincent stops to tend to his stab wound, using whatever he can find in a public restroom. Sean soon catches up with him, and Vincent explodes, accusing Sean of crossing Rubino. But Sean reveals they weren't stealing from Rubino at all. They were taking from Novak, an even more dangerous figure. Tensions flare as Vincent realizes he's in far deeper than he ever imagined, and the clock ticks down on his son's life. As night falls, we find a man hanging upside down, enduring brutal treatment as baseballs are shot at him. Novak emerges, making it clear this man was one of his own who turned snitch. Novak, clearly furious, is also dealing with the recent DEA raid that stripped him of his stash, forcing him to secure 25 kilos from a low-level dealer, Rubino. He instructs his men to ensure the snitch can never speak again. Meanwhile, young Thomas, held captive, desperately cries out for help. Vincent receives a call from his ex, Dina, asking where Thomas is. He lies, saying they argued and Thomas ran off. Ending the call, Vincent arrives at Rubino's luxurious high-rise, trailed by Bryant, who's been following him. Vincent, unsure of the building's layout, hides his pistol and most of the cocaine in a bathroom ceiling, leaving only 2 kilos in the bag. Security quickly intercepts him, escorting him to Rubino. Bryant, ever suspicious, enters the bathroom, finds Vincent's hidden items and takes the duffel bag, contacting her partner Dennison about her discovery. He advises her to leave it, but she decides to bring it outside to confront Vincent. Back inside, Rubino confronts Vincent about his missing stash. Just then, Thomas is brought into the room as Rubino taunts Vincent, warning that Novak won't hesitate to bury them both if he doesn't get his cocaine. Rubino gives Vincent a tight deadline, 10 minutes to retrieve the rest. Outside, as Bryant waits with the duffel, Novak arrives, catching her off guard. Inside, Rubino spots Novak's approach and pressures Vincent to fetch the stash. Vincent heads back to the bathroom, only to discover Bryant has taken the items. Seeking help from a guard, he manages to climb into the ceiling to maneuver through the building. Meanwhile, Rubino attempts to stall Novak, who grows impatient and heads to Rubino's office. In the office, Novak vents his anger, hitting golf balls in frustration, demanding his 25 kilos and reminding Rubino of the consequences of failing him. Simultaneously, Bryant hides the duffel in a locker and updates Dennison on the high-profile presence in the building. Dennison considers getting a judge involved, but Bryant, determined, plans to bring down both Novak and Vincent. Unbeknownst to her, Vincent has changed his clothes and ignored a call from his ex who is still pressing him about Thomas. Bryant then contacts Vincent, taunting him, but he cuts her off. Undeterred, he finds a bag of sugar, wraps it up, and swaps it into another bag. He heads to the bar and instructs the bartender to bring Rubino the finest bottle, buying himself some extra time. Finally, Vincent returns to Rubino's office, bag in hand. When one of Rubino's men moves to inspect it, Vincent asserts that narcotics officers are in the building, even flashing his badge. The tension skyrockets as Rubino realizes he may be dealing with more than he bargained for, and the clock continues ticking down on this deadly game. As tensions peak, a knock on the door from the bartender sends a wave of panic through the room, making Rubino and his crew think the cops have arrived. In the chaos, Rubino reveals a hidden exit for Novak to escape. Before he leaves, Rubino assures Vincent that Thomas is waiting for him out front. Novak, now in his car, opens the package Vincent handed him, only to find sugar instead of drugs. Furious, he storms back, ready to kill Rubino. However, Rubino buys time, convincing Novak to give him a chance to fix the disaster. After sharing the setback with his security team, Rubino's guard hurries to pursue Vincent and Thomas while Bryant watches the scene unfold. Vincent and Thomas take to the stairs, with Thomas demanding answers. Vincent finally reveals that he's been working undercover for 2 years, keeping everyone in the dark. Their escape is quickly interrupted as security barrels down on them, and a brutal fight ensues. Wounded and exhausted, Vincent manages to fend off his attacker just long enough to escape. Meanwhile, Novak gets a call from his father, who threatens to return from vacation and wreak havoc unless Novak recovers the 25 kilos within 4 hours. Desperate, Novak calls in every cop he has in his pocket to join the hunt. But as they flee, Thomas is captured by security, forcing Vincent to shift his focus to rescuing his son again. In an intense exchange, Novak hands Rubino a box containing a severed body part, warning him that he has only an hour to recover the drugs. Sean calls Vincent, who updates him on the escalating situation. Meanwhile, Bryant and Dennison, after scouring the entire complex, are losing hope, with Dennison suggesting they regroup and start investigating in the morning. Reluctantly, Bryant agrees and heads for the escalators, only to spot Vincent just as the doors close. She tracks him to a specific level and gives chase, but Vincent, trying to evade her, heads to the stairs. The chase intensifies when Vincent's phone rings, alerting Bryant to his position. She confronts him in a room, holding him at gunpoint, but he retaliates, leading to a struggle where both are injured. Vincent ultimately gains the upper hand, pinning her in an armbar and explaining he's an undercover cop. Bryant refuses to believe him, even as he details her botched meth lab bust and reveals Sean's connection to Novak as a courier. Reluctantly, she discloses the location of his stash, swearing at him even as he rushes off. In another part of the building, Thomas is introduced to Ruina, who cruelly injures him by smashing a fire extinguisher on his fingers. As Ruina leaves, Thomas spots an open door and escapes, even finding a phone along the way. Bryant, determined to keep on Vincent's tail, contacts Dennison, who confronts Vincent at the locker with his gun drawn. A fight breaks out, sending both of them into a pool. The intense scuffle ends with Vincent knocking Dennison out, but he quickly dives back in to prevent his unconscious colleague from drowning. Afterward, Vincent receives a call from Thomas, who is desperate for rescue. Vincent assures him he's on his way, unaware that Rubino is watching closely, setting up a trap. As Vincent arrives at the garage, Sean appears, instructing Vincent to check his car for equipment. But when Vincent turns, Sean pulls a gun on him, having realized Vincent's role as a snitch. However, instead of confronting him outright, Sean decides they'll deal with that betrayal after they save Thomas, putting their differences aside for now in a desperate bid to rescue the boy. In a chaotic and action-packed finale, as Vincent and Sean face off, a gunman suddenly appears and fires 2 shots. One kills the attacker while the other wounds Sean. Vincent's phone rings and it's Dina, desperately asking about Thomas. He reassures her, telling her that everything he's done has been for her and Thomas, promising to protect their son at any cost. However, Vincent pauses, shocked to hear a voicemail revealing that Sean was in contact with Dennison, who now knows Vincent is threatening their entire operation. Meanwhile, Dennison arrives and discovers Sean's wounded body. Deciding to eliminate any loose ends, Dennison finishes Sean off, hiding his actions from Bryant, who is suspicious of his sudden instructions to wait for backup. Dennison then joins Novak, and after a tense standoff where Novak nearly shoots him, Dennison convinces him to let him go. Novak proceeds to confront Rubino, aiming his gun at him just as Vincent bursts into the room, spotting Thomas. A violent fight erupts. Rubino is pistol-whipped and dragged away, while Vincent finally kills the relentless security guard chasing him. Novak opens fire on Vincent, missing, and the battle spills outside. Vincent commandeers a display car, speeding away as Rubino is arrested by Bryant. With Novak's men hot on his tail, Vincent manages to evade them in a thrilling chase, handing the wheel to Thomas while he jumps into another car, taking down several of Novak's men. Novak, refusing to give up, storms the garage and releases smoke bombs, turning the place into a low-visibility war zone. Dina arrives, pistol in hand, just as the chaos intensifies. Thomas hides under a car, narrowly escaping detection until Novak's guard spots him. Vincent intervenes, engaging in a brutal fight with the guard. After a bloody scuffle, Vincent is down, but Thomas seizes the moment, hijacking a truck to rescue his dad. As another guard approaches, Dina fires, killing him just in time. Now reunited, the family takes cover as Novak demands his stash. Vincent decides to make a final stand, surrendering himself and claiming he knows the location of the drugs. Novak, furious, opens fire, and Vincent retaliates. Dina retrieves her medical bag, tending to Vincent's injuries as Novak falls, lifeless, to the ground. Rubino, meanwhile, is being escorted to a police car, while Vincent, weakened, asks Thomas to play a voicemail for Bryant. When she listens, she hears Dennison's incriminating confession. She turns to confront him, but he quickly shoots her, killing her in cold blood. Dennison then kills Rubino in the car and the officer driving, staging a scene to make it appear that Rubino went on a rampage. However, as the car crashes, Bryant miraculously survives, crawling out of the wreckage to identify Dennison, leading to his arrest. Vincent is rushed into surgery, clinging to life. The next morning, he awakens to find Dina and Thomas by his side, with Dina giving Thomas his father's watch, symbolizing Vincent's enduring love and protection for his family. Bryant also visits, sharing a moment of relief and humor with Vincent before walking away. In a final twist, at the scene of Novak's death, Novak's father makes a phone call. The line is picked up by 3 DEA officials who answer, calling him boss. The story concludes, hinting at a deeper corruption yet to be uncovered. The screen cuts to black, leaving the audience with an intense and unresolved sense of mystery. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.